Hello, everyone. It's me again. I just wanted to my patrons. I'd like to say thank you very much for your support. And if you are interested in becoming a patron and supporting this channel, please see the description in the box below. And my phone's going crazy. 1 second. It's my hubby saying he made it to work. Yay! Okay, I'm going to turn the volume down. And today, I would like to also give a shout out to Miss Mincy's class. Hello from Mama Terracy. Just wanted to say hello and thank you for joining in with me. I am going to be reading chapter 30. I have already uploaded chapter 29 of the Yearling, and the chapters right now are a little bit short, so no more than about 15 minutes long. So I am going to be doing a couple of chapters today. I did chapter 29 and just uploaded it. So right now, hi, Sophia. I am going to be reading the Yearling, chapter 30 today. Thank you, Sophia. I really enjoy doing the reading. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and start reading here. The Yearling, chapter 30. In the last chapter, I'll just catch you up for just a second here. In the last chapter, Jody began to realize that Flag, the fawn, was now getting much bigger, and they went down to the sinkhole to play. He and the deer went down to the sinkhole to play, and he looked up and hi, Sandy. He looked up and thought he saw a different deer. So that's when he realized, oh my goodness, Flag is getting older. And they, from fawn to buck, there's a phase in between what we would call like a teenager. He becomes a yearling, which means he's a year old now. And in the spring, he will begin to start growing his antlers. So he's become a very large deer. And if you know anything about deer, they can be pretty destructive. They're in the family of cattle. So yeah. So anyway, Flag causes all kinds of havoc in chapter 29, which I've already uploaded. So he got put out of the house during the night, and he trampled on the tobacco field and destroyed part of the tobacco seed. So he's not in pretty good favor right now. So we're going to go on. Hello, Matthew from Port Orange City Council. Yes, Beasts of the Field. And Sandy, good to see y'all. Okay, so I'm going to start on chapter 30. Like I said, the chapters are short. So this will probably only be about 15 minutes. So here we go. Chapter 30 of the Yearling. March came in with a cool and sunny splendor. The yellow jessamine bloomed late and covered the fences and filled the clearing with its sweetness. The peach trees blossomed and the wild plums. The redbirds sang all day, and when they had done with their song in the evening, the mockingbirds continued. The ground doves nested and cooed one to another and walked about the sand of the clearing like shadows bobbing. Penny said, "If I was dead, I'd sit up and take a listen." There had been a light shower during the night, and the hazy substance of the sunrise indicated that there would be another before night. But the morning itself was luminous. "More corn," Penny said. "Just right for cotton. Just right for baccy." "I take it you're pleased with the day," Ma Baxter said. He grinned and finished his breakfast. "Now, just 'cause you feel better," she warned him, "don't get in the field and kill yourself." "I feel good," he said. "I'd kill anything keeps me from planting. All day I'm fixing to plant, all day today, tomorrow, the next day. Planting corn, cotton, baccy." "I heard you," she said. He stood up and thumped her on the back. "Cowpeas, taters, greens." She had to laugh at him, and Jody laughed too. "Here, you tell it," she said. "You're fixing to plant the world." "I'd purely love it." He threw out his arms. "A day like this'n, I'd love to plant rows from here to Boston and back again to Texas. That's when I come to Texas. Oh, then when I come to Texas, I'd turn around and go back to Boston to see had the seeds come up yet." "I see where Jody gets his fairy tales," she said. He pounded Jody on the back. "You got a sweet job, boy. You can set out the baccy plants. If my bag didn't near about kill me when I stoop, I'd take it from you. But I love setting out plants. Little old young green things, giving them a chance to grow." He went whistling to his work. Jody gulped his breakfast and followed him. Penny was at the tobacco seed bed, lifting out the tender plants. "You belong to handle 'em like they was newborn babies," he said. He set out a dozen plants by way of lesson, then watched and corrected Jody while he went on with the row. He brought old Caesar in the scooter plow and turned into the field, laid off and bedded up ready for the corn, to open the furrows for the planting. Jody hunched along on his heels, or dropped to his knees when his legs grew tired. He worked leisurely, for Penny said there was no hurry and that the job must be done well. The March sun grew in mid-morning, but a fresh breeze blew. The tobacco plants wilted behind him, but the night's dark coolness would bring them up again. He watered them as he went and had to go twice to the sinkhole for water. Flag had disappeared after breakfast and was not in sight. Jody missed him, but he was relieved that the fawn had chosen the particular morning to stay away. If he joined him and gambled about as usual, he would destroy the plants faster than Jody could set them out. He finished the task by dinner time. The tobacco patch filled only a portion of the ground that Penny had prepared for it according to the original size of the seedbed. When Penny went with him after dinner to look it over, his father's exuberance ebbed. "You ain't left no plants in the bed, boy. You got 'em all. Every one. I even set them little old spindly ones." "Well, I'll put in something else to fill out," Jody offered eagerly. "I can help you with t'other planting now, or tote water for you." "No need to water. It look more prosperous for a shower every minute. You can help plant." Penny had the furrows open for the corn. Now he went ahead during his drilling his holes with a pointed stick down the long rows. Jody followed, dropping 2 kernels into the hole. He was anxious to please, to have his father forget the shrunken tobacco patch. he called. Goes fast to working, don't it, Pa? Penny did not answer. Yet, as the early spring day clouded and the light wind shifted into the southeast, and it was plain that a shower would come on the planting, ensuring the quick sprouting of the corn, his spirits lifted again. The rain caught them in the late afternoon, but they continued to work and finish the field. It rolled gently, well tilled and tawny, its soft bosom receptive to the rain. Leaving it, Penny rested on the split rail fence and looked back over it with satisfaction. There was a wistful look in his eye as well, as though he were obliged now to leave his handiwork to forces he could only trust blindly not to betray him. Flag came bounding out of the rain from the south. He came to Jody to be scratched behind the ears. He leaped back and forth in a zigzag across the fence, then stopped under a mulberry tree and reached up to catch the tip of a bough. Jody sat on the fence beside his father. He turned to call Penny's attention to the slim neck of the fawn stretched up to the new green leaves of the mulberry. His father was studying the young deer with an unfathomable expression. His eyes were narrowed and speculative. He seemed as when he had set out after old Slewfoot, a stranger. A chill passed over the boy that was not of the dampness of the rain. He said, Pa? Penny turned to him, startled from his thoughts. He looked down as though to hide a thing in his eyes. He said carelessly, That fawn of yourn sure growed up in a hurry. He ain't the baby you toted at home in your arms all the way back that black night. He's a yearling now for sure. The words gave Jody little pleasure. Somehow he sensed they were not quite what his father had been thinking. Penny laid his hand an instant on his son's knee. You're a pair of yearlings, he said. It grieves me. He slid from the fence and went to the lot to do the chores, then to the house to dry out by the fire. The rain beat lightly on the shingled roof. Flag bleated outside to be allowed to come in. Jody looked appealingly at his mother, but she was deaf and blind. Penny felt stiff and sat with his back close to the heat, rubbing his knees. Jody begged some stale cornbread and went outside. He made a fresh bed in the shed and enticed Flag inside with the bread. He sat down and the deer finally doubled his long legs under him and lay down beside him. Jody took hold of the two pointed ears and rubbed his nose against the wet muzzle. You're yelling now, he said. You hear me? You growed up. Now you listen to me. You got to be good now you're growed. You can't go gallivanting cost no tobacco. Don't you get Pa down on you. You listening? Flag chewed ruminatively. That's a hard word. All right then. Now as soon as we get done with the planting, I can go off with you again. You wait for me. You was gone too long today. Don't you go wild just 'cause I told you was a yearling. He left Flag and had the satisfaction of seeing him remain contentedly in the shed. Ma Baxter and Penny had begun supper when he went into the kitchen. They made no comment on his lateness. They ate in silence. Penny went to bed at once. Jody was suddenly tired out and dropped into bed without washing his dusty feet. When his mother came to his door to remind him of it, he was asleep with one arm thrown back over the pillow. She stood looking at him, then turned away without arousing him. In the morning, Penny was blithe again. Today's cotton day, he said. The soft rain had stopped in the night. The morning was dewy. The fields were rosy, dipping into lavender at the far misty edges. The mockingbirds made a musical din along the fence rows. "They trying to hurry the mulberries," Penny said. The cotton was sowed free in drills. Later it would be chopped out to a stand, a foot apart, with the hoe. Jody followed his father as before, dropping the small, shiny seeds. He was curious about the new Baxter crop and asked endless questions. Flag had disappeared shortly after breakfast, but came trotting to the planters in mid morning. Again, Penny watched him. His sharp hoofs cut deeply into the soft, moist earth, but the seeds were planted deeply enough so that no harm was possible. "He do take out after you when he misses you," Penny said. "He's like a dog that way, ain't he, Pa? He wants to tag me just like Julia tags you. You think a heap of him, don't you, boy?" "Why, sure." He stared at his father. Penny said, "Well, we wait and see." The remark made no particular sense, and Jody ignored it. The planting continued all week. Cowpeas followed the corn and cotton. Sweet potatoes followed the cowpeas. The vegetable garden back of the house was planted to onions and turnips, for the moon was dark and root crops must be planted then. Penny had been forced by his rheumatism to let pass the 14th of February, the date on which the collards should be planted, so as not to go to seed. He was tempted to put them in now, but since the leafy crops did best when planted on an increasing moon, he decided to wait a week or so. He was up early each day and finished late. He drove himself mercilessly. The planting itself was done, but he was not content. He was in a fever over the spring work, for weather conditions were favorable, and the year's living depended on the immediate results. He carried the two heavy buckets full of water from the sinkhole again and again to water the tobacco plants and the garden. A stump that Buck Forrester had left out to rot in the new ground. Oh, a stump that Buck Forrester had left to rot out in the new ground where the cotton was planted annoyed him. He dug and chopped around it, then hooked trace chains to it and put old Caesar at pulling on it. The old horse tugged and strained, his sides heaving. Penny lashed a rope to Caesar and pulled with him. Jody saw his father's face turn white. Penny clutched at his groin and sank to his knees. Jody ran to him. "It's all right. I'll be all right in a minute. Reckon I strained myself." He dropped to the ground and stirred in agony. He murmured, "I'll be all right. Go put Caesar up. Wait, take a hold of my hand. I'll ride him in." He was bent double and could not straighten for pain. Jody helped him to the stump. From there he managed to clamber on Caesar's back. He leaned forward, resting his head on Caesar's neck, gripping the mane. Jody unhitched the trace chains and led the horse out of the field and through the gate into the yard. Penny made no move to get down. Jody brought a chair for him to descent. Penny slid to it and to the ground and crept into the house. Ma Baxter turned from her work at the kitchen table. She dropped her pan with a clatter. "I knowed it. You've hurted yourself. You don't never know to quit." He shuffled to his bed and threw himself face down on it. She followed and turned him over and put a pillow under his head. She pulled off his shoes and laid a light quilt over him. He stretched out his legs with relief. He closed his eyes. "That's good. Oh, Horry, that's good. I'll be all right in a minute. Must have strained myself." And that's the end of chapter 30. Oh my word. Pa's not doing good. Yes, I am going to stay on just a little bit longer and respond to this chat. Nice of you to ask, Luke. Thank you. How is everybody? Last week, oh my word. Today, last Thursday, today's Thursday. Last Thursday, we were just getting our electricity back on after what we call here in Texas snowpocalypse or snowvid. Today it's supposed to be in the upper 60s, and yesterday it got all the way up to 81. So that's Texas weather for you. So anybody have any questions, comments? It's so nice to be warm and to have electricity. Anybody have any questions or comments? Matthew, I saw that Lake George is just a few minutes away from you. That's really cool. So you could really identify with the lake then, as I was reading the book. So Luke, what would you like to talk about? Luke, are you listening to this book for a class, or are you just listening for enjoyment? Last week, I had a group of students on that we had a pretty good little chat, and I just want to continue, or I want to say again, thank you, Miss Mincy's class. Is anyone else going to plant a garden? I tried, I started a celery plant from some celery from the store. And it did really well in just the water. But then when I planted it, it died. So I'm very sad. Oh, good. So you're in Miss Mincy's class, Luke? So Sandy, yeah, I really want to plant an indoor garden. It's real hard for me to get in and out of the house. And so yeah. But I have some, what do they call them? Peat pellets that I have not started yet. So I think I have cherry tomatoes and green onions and something else. A lettuce, I think. So anyway, yeah. So Sandy, do you have a garden? Yes, I will probably start. We'll see. I think probably the first week in March, which is next week. So I should be able to get it done. The next book that I'm going to be doing is Holes. So if you have seen the movie Holes or have read the book, I hope you'll enjoy the reading. I just finished doing the book with my students that I tutor. After the snow melts. Sandy, you're in Idaho. Cold. How do you live in the cold? Good, Luke. You'll enjoy this book. Luke, would you ask your teacher to email me? I gave her my email address, but I'll put it in the chat box here. Would you ask your teacher to email me? I'd like to talk to her about books that she may be using in her class. I'll be happy to talk to anybody if they want to email me. What are you Are you reading the Yearling in class, Luke? And Luke, are y'all in school? Are you doing school online? Are you back in school, actually going to school? Oh, okay. You're reading the Watsons Go to Birmingham, and you are in class. Okay. Um, yeah, I need to do the Watsons Go to Birmingham. Mildred Taylor wrote Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, Let the Circle Be Unbroken, The Watsons Go to Birmingham. She wrote all of those books, and they're all about the same family. And so I really should do Watsons Go to Birmingham and just make them kind of like a trilogy. So, but anyway, any other questions? Well, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Um, May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and grant you his peace. See you guys next week. Bye.